all you hear is Donald Trump and all of them talking about fear. We're the ones getting killed. We're the ones getting shot. We're the ones that we're denied to live in certain communities. We've been hung. We've been shot. And all you do is keep hearing about fear.
I had a person call me and say, why don't you deputize citizens who have guns to come out and patrol the city of Kenosha? What happened last night is probably the perfect reason why I wouldn't.
Feel that the presence of the militias last night contributed to the increased tension there?
So you want my personal opinion. I don't, to some people it may have been calming. To me it's not.
So he shoots people in the video. He opens fire, and then he walks away and walks toward officers. He appears to have his hands up in the air, wanting to turn himself in, but then he later flees. Whoever was there, officers, sheriffs, why did they let him go? How was he able to go?
Well, I wasn't there, but just hearing what you just said, I have a pretty good idea. You got to understand that at that point and I don't know what was going on right then. I don't have a clue. But there's screaming, there's howling, there's chanting, there's a squad car running, there's MRAPs and Bearcats idling, and I don't know where it was, so I don't know. And if the officer happened to be in the car, the radio traffic was non-stop. And there were people running all over the place.
What the That was not me! I got him up there!
It's just so sad. What stands out to me is just watching the Republican convention, and they're spewing this fear, right? Like, all you hear is Donald Trump and all of them talking about fear. We're the ones getting killed. We're the ones getting shot. We're the ones that we're denied to live in certain communities. We've been hung, we've been shot, and all you do is keep hearing about fear. It's amazing to me why we keep loving this country, and this country does not love us back. And it's really so sad. Like, I should just be a coach. And it's so often reminded of my color. You know, it's just really sad. We got to do better. But we got to demand better. Like it's funny. We protest and they send riot guards, right? They send people in riot outfits. They go to Michigan with guns and they're spitting on cops and nothing happens. The training has to change in the police force. The unions have to be taken down in the police force. My dad was a cop. I believe in good cops. We're not trying to defund the police and take all their money away. We're trying to get them to protect us, just like they protect everybody else. I didn't want to talk about it before the game because it's so hard, like to just keep watching it. That video, if you watch that video, you don't need to be black to be outraged. You need to be American and outraged. And how dare the Republicans talk about fear? We're the ones that need to be scared. We're the ones having to talk to every black child. What white father has to give his son a talk about being careful if you get pulled over? It's just ridiculous. And it just keeps going. There's no charges. Breonna Taylor, no charges, nothing. All we're asking is you live up to the Constitution. That's all we're asking for everybody, for everyone. Thank you.
All of us need to be prepared for the very real potential of a direct hit from this storm. This is truly when we have to say, prepare for the worst.
Let me show you what that looks like. Just a couple of inches of water can knock you off balance, and a couple of feet of water can send a car floating away. When you have that storm surge rise up to 3 feet, it's too late to evacuate. You need to shelter in place. All kinds of stuff could be in this water. Dangerous wildlife, or even cars and objects with enough force moving around to act like a battering ram and knock down walls and even buildings. But we know there's going to be storm surge flooding above that. Let's go to 6 feet. How about that? 6 feet of water rise. You better move to the highest floor of a building. That's the only way to survive. And unfortunately, there are going to be places that get more than 6 feet. How about 9 feet of storm surge and even more than that? This is not survivable, and this is why you need to evacuate when told to do so.
Hurricane brings tornadoes, so you never know what to expect when you're dealing with these storms. So the best thing is to evacuate.
I'm going to be upgrading the voluntary evacuation on Bolivar to a mandatory evacuation. The reason for that is that they are now forecasting between 5 and 8 feet of water to be over Bolivar at some points in time.
We went through Ike in 2008. We learned a lesson, and a lot of people don't want to have a repeat on that. So many of our residents, most of our residents, are heeding the warning, and we have provided transportation for those that need assistance also.
Right now, my head is like ready to explode, like just in the thoughts of what's going on. And I don't know if I'm even appropriate enough to say it, what the players are feeling and how they're feeling. And I haven't talked to any of the players. I'm just like coming in, even like driving here and getting into the studio, hearing calls and people talking. And for me, I think the biggest thing now is to kind of, as a black man, as a former player, I think it's best for me to support the players and just not be here tonight. And figure out what happens after that. I just don't feel equipped to do that.
And I respect that.
I'm here to speak for those that are always marginalized. Those that live in these neighborhoods where we preach and tell them to vote and walk away. Charles Barkley came to my high school. Just seeing him in the locker room, seeing his hands and his body, that inspired me. You can't see something. You can't be something till you see it. And when I tell you the little kids that have called me upset, I have a godson that has autism, and I just had to explain to him why we aren't playing. I have young nephews that I've had to talk to about death before they've even seen it in a movie. If not now, when? If not during a pandemic and countless lives being lost. If not now, when?
If we do this unified as a league, it looks different because this league is close to, if not over 80% of black women. We have cousins, we have brothers, we have sisters, mothers, everyone. We matter. And I think that's important. I think people should know that. And I'm tired of telling people that.
We're really surprised that looting and arson accelerated to murder. How shocked are we that 17-year-olds with rifles decided they had to maintain order when no one else would? Outside the convention, chaos that began with the first George Floyd protests on Memorial Day has reached its inevitable and bloody conclusion. Last night, 3 people were shot on the streets of Kenosha, Wisconsin. 2 of them have died. Police say they've charged a 17-year-old with murder. Here's what Kenosha looked like last night. At one point, the 17-year-old, who has now been charged, tried to run from the mob. He tripped and fell in the middle of the street. A man ran up and smashed him in the head with a skateboard. The 17-year-old then fired his gun. As of tonight, we really don't have more details. We do know why it all happened, though. Kenosha has devolved into anarchy because the authorities in charge of the city abandoned it. People in charge, from the governor of Wisconsin on down, refused to enforce the law. They stood back and they watched Kenosha burn. So are we really surprised that looting and arson accelerated to murder? How shocked are we that 17-year-olds with rifles decided they had to maintain order when no one else would? Our leaders want us to believe that this is all a racial conflict. They're always telling us it is, but they're lying. It is not a racial conflict. At its deepest level, the chaos they have unleashed has very little to do with race. Most Americans are not bigots. Unlike CNN, they are not fixated on skin color. They don't really care, most of them. Our cities are burning because the people in charge have allowed them to burn. Tonight, the White House is sending hundreds of additional National Guardsmen and military policemen to Kenosha, and that is a very good thing. But let's be honest, the Justice Department could have stopped all of this months ago.
The violence must stop. Whether in Minneapolis, Portland, or Kenosha. President Trump and I know that the men and women that put on the uniform of law enforcement are the best of us. We will have law and order on the streets of this country for every American of every race and creed and color.